What's your, if I get caught there's no explanation, story? I was with friends at a local park late at night, like 2 or 3 a.m. Park's close at 11, and a cop doing his drive-through check of the park found me and my 2 friends sitting in a picnic area, and we definitely were not supposed to be there. We had all gotten stoned and hatched a ridiculous plan to mess with our other friend. The cop approached us while we were laughing hysterically with a huge bag of potatoes in front of us while we drew sexually charged images on the potatoes with Sharpie markers. It was rough trying to explain to him that the penis potatoes were supposed to be a practical joke. We were going to leave them all over our friend's lawn. Somehow he was fine with that, and told us to take our potatoes and go somewhere other than the park. I still remember that night fondly. When I was 13, I used to go out to the woods behind the neighborhood, get naked, and light gasoline on fire. What? There's no explanation. My boss left his office door open one time. I was working late that night, and went into his laptop to see if he had anything juicy. He did. He had a document with a title something like, "What is wrong with my name?" It included a handy list of my character flaws. If I had gotten caught, there would have been absolutely no excuse. Flew on a major airline with a razor blade hidden in my phone case. I was meaning to buy one to peel the window tint off of my car, but I found one at work in a drawer. I didn't have any way to safely carry it, so I put it in my phone case behind my phone. I about died when I was on the beach and realized what I had done. Threw it in the trash right away before I forgot again. I did the same thing with a credit card knife. For reference, it's literally a thin knife blade set into plastic the size of a credit card that folds into a knife handle around the blade. I thought it was novelty fun and maybe someday helpful when I bought it and put it in wallet. Anyway, I travel via plane, and 2 days later I'm sitting in my hotel room when it dawns on me that I took a blade through airport security. This reminds me of that old Reddit post about the guy who was having dinner at his wife's boss' house and was served very rare beef. Instead of saying he didn't like his meat rare, he waited until the boss went to get something from the kitchen and chucked the steak out an open window so he could pretend he ate it. Only the window wasn't actually open, just very, very clean. So the steak slapped against it and fell on the floor, and his wife and the boss noticed. When visiting a friend, went straight in to the wrong house. In their building, people keep their doors open. Make myself a cup of tea, put on the TV, and wait on the sofa for them to return. Someone else comes in, says nothing, looks at me weird, and goes to the bedroom. Call up my friend to ask when they are coming. They are at their house. They come and pick me up. Honestly, if someone came into my house, made themselves comfortable, and had a tea, coffee, beer, yeah, I'd just move on too. If they meant me malice, they probably would have already did it. Probably assumed it was a friend of a roommate, or something. A couple years ago, I jumped in a stranger's car while they were in it. I was waiting on a lift from a friend and I see their car pull up. I just go jump in the passenger and say something like, "It's about time, a-hole," and then silence. Look over and I do not know this man. Total stranger, just driving a similar car. Not even the same make model. I apologize profusely and get out. Thankfully, they were amused and not angry. I was in a camp shower, stalls, not open, when an unaccompanied kid about 4 years old started crawling into my stall from below the door. I was telling him to scram, but he wasn't listening. It was only us in the showers at the time. I had no idea where his folks were. I scrambled to put my clothes on, still soaking wet, when it was clear this kid was bent on getting into my stall. I rinsed the soap out of my hair with my clothes on and then took the kid by the hand to find his parents. Had I been caught in the shower with a stranger's child, I'd have had a very difficult time explaining it. I found his mom, frantic, about 5 minutes later. I guessed the kid was looking for his dad, who he heard was in the showers, and he thought I was him. Backstory: I once had such bad depression, functioning as a person became hard. My mom stopped by, no knock like several of my close PPL then, brought groceries so I could try and eat better. Surprise, I don't want to cook. So I was hungry for a while. But she got me mangoes. Now I love mangoes, but only at the correct ripeness, so it's hit or miss. I sat down on the couch with one, so sure it would be bad. It was so good. It was the first thing I had been happy surprised about in what seemed like forever. No way I could have explained. I ripped into that mango in the middle of my living room. And I mean ripped. I'm talking juice going all down my hands, down my face, huge bites. But at one point I crouched down, and my cat was just sitting under me licking my hands as I ate. I must have looked savage, and I am so happy no one walked in to check on me right then. That was a super low point, and it woke me up a bit. But maybe that was just the mango. I was getting ready for a New Year's Eve party, and decided I needed to shave, but I didn't have any aftershave or shaving cream, so I used a little bit of watered-down vodka just to make sure everything was fresh. But I sort of gave off a vodka smell. Then I realized I needed to pick up drinks for the party, so I went to the liquor store, but I got kind of lost in a neighborhood because there were a lot of one-way streets, and I kept repeatedly passing a police car hanging out at a corner. I realized how suspicious I would look driving around on NY smelling like vodka on my way to the liquor store. Luckily, everything went fine and me and my friends partied in my basement, and then Ubered to a bar. Putting vodka on potential small cuts on your face does not sound smart, TBH. I was a strange child, and I decided that I would hide in my neighbor's bush in a ghillie suit in the pouring rain. I just watched a couple of cars drive by and marveled at the fact that the bush kept most of the rain off my head. I wish I had a ghillie suit as a child. This is a wild one. It's going to need a lot of background, but stay with me, it's worth it, lol. I was around 7 or 8 years old. I remember my grandma used to watch a telenovela. It's a Spanish kind of TV show that is very long, like years, and incredibly dramatic. Like people finding out they have an evil twin and lover discovering they are siblings, kind of dramatic, and I would listen to it while I was doing homework in the kitchen. The main plot of this narrative arc I remember was around this creepy dude that was in love with this woman that isn't interested at all in him, but also had a crazy girlfriend that knew about the whole ordeal and just wanted to see him happy, so she helps him in the conquering attempts in the hope he will realize how dedicated she is. One day he decides to kidnap this woman while she is about to leave for vacations, so that nobody will worry if she stops getting in contact. Him and the girlfriend lock her in a van and take her in his underground man cave. They tie her on a chair and leave her there. They bring her food and shit. But he is just buying time to break her mind and convince her that if he can have her, nobody will, and she better just give up and love him, so that they can both be his wives. Both him and the girlfriend are torturing her. Nothing too heavy. This was a show on TV at like 4 p.m., so pretty PG, but still very creepy, like tickling her and putting ice in her shirt, feeding her in humiliating way, from the floor or from his hands, etc. And shit like that. Now my 8-year-old brain didn't quite understand that she was suffering, and kind of took it as if they were playing a game. Or maybe I was into BDSM way earlier than I should have been. The TV show's name was Beautiful, and so my stupid goblin mind created the game of Beautiful. I would play it mostly with my cousin, F9. She was a year older than me but way more childish, so she had no idea where this game came from. One of us would sit in a chair and the other one would tie her up with jumping rope and pretend to torture the other. We would throw toys to each other, tickle each other, or she would push me to the ground and I had to get back up while being tied up. All of this while the torturee would plead for the other to free her and pretend to be scared and miserable. I know, dude, I was a sick child. I have no idea why I actually enjoyed this game. Anyway, one day I was the one tied to the chair, and my cousin was tickling me. The noise must have catched the attention of my aunt, my cousin's mother, and she opened the door. She found me, tied in a chair, my face all red and all sort of toys laying around like torture devices. I look at my cousin looks at me, and instinctively we tried to make something up. We knew we were doing something wrong, we just didn't know what it was. But two different things came out of our mouths. I said we were playing tied races, going from one side of the room to the other while tied up. My cousin said that we were playing Indians and cowboys. Obviously Auntie understood something fishy was going on and sat us down to have a long talk. We couldn't even explain what we were doing. All I know is that she had us throw all the toys that were on the floor in the trash so that we can't use them for wrong purposes. She talked to my parents, and this started a short period of therapy because they thought some adult was doing that to me. But it was just my sick kid mind. To this day, I am 23, and I am still embarrassed to go say hello to my auntie. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.